They have 2 service advisors. They got a service manager. They got an assistant service manager. They have 1 tech.
Polestar just reported they had like a 74% sales year-over-year increase. It's a lot of the Tesla owners that are unhappy, that are switching, and they're just going to the other electric vehicle brands out there, Ford included.
I made the decision to go really kind of blind all these years ago. I don't think it's as risky as people think. More people came in and said, I didn't know this program existed. I'm glad I knew I could obtain this car for this price. We don't want to set unrealistic expectations for some of the other shoppers that are out there thinking that they can buy a 2022 for $10,000.
Welcome to The Breakdown, your no-fluff guide to everything electric vehicle. From hot Tesla deals to real repair headaches, we break it all down in straight talk with real insights. Buying, selling, or just trying to keep your electric vehicle running, we've got you. My name is Dennis, and this is my co-host, Chip.
Hi, I'm Chip Jeppy.
And today, the last video got a lot of traction. You guys had a lot of different comments about used Tesla prices that are going insane. So I figured we'd just spend this whole podcast just going through each comment and reacting to all the different things that you had to say. But before we get into that, we got to give a big shout out to Amber EV. If you're worried about repair costs, don't be. They offer a month-to-month electric vehicle warranty, so you're covered without a long-term commitment. But we'll get more into that later. So let's jump into the comments. The first one I thought was a funny one. Zero Animal Product World said, Rivian is better. What do you think about that?
Well, I own a Rivian, and I got rid of a Model X to get the Rivian. I think when it comes to a third-row SUV, and considering there's only 2 real volume players on the market, the Model X and the Rivian, I think the Rivian is better than the Model X. So I agree with that comment. What do you think?
Well, so what year Model X did you have?
2021 Long Range Plus.
Did you have, I've been having a ton of issues with the Falcon Wing doors. They finally fixed it, but I had a lot of issues with the Falcon Wing doors. Did you have like similar, like
no issues with them opening or closing at all? The water dripping down onto the seat, the kid's seat, was always a pain, but that's just an inherent design. I had problems with the axles, front axles, eating those up, tire wear in the rear, and we had some issues with the air suspension, kind of losing like where it was. Like it didn't know where it was at. It was a weird error. We ended up having to replace a shock.
Ooh. Has the Rivian been more painless with like warranty work, or has there been any warranty work with it?
No, the first day we picked it up, the AC didn't work, and because it was the brand new release of that second gen, and they just had it topped off a little too much Freon. So it was in and out within an hour, and that was great. We haven't seen them in 6 months, 7 months since we had the car. We just took it in for an alignment, and it was a disaster. Just to get an alignment done. They finally got to fix it. They didn't charge us anything for it. It was a 10-day ordeal to get it done. They provided a loaner car, but it was quite an ordeal just for an alignment. We thought we were going to wait on it, and it turned out to 10 days. Yeah. So
that's, how long did it take to get an appointment in the Rivian shop?
A month.
So it's same growing pains as Tesla, I would say then.
Same thing. Yeah. And it's at least the dealership here local in town, it's a classic problem of too many chiefs, not enough Indians. They have 2 service advisors. They got a service manager. They got an assistant service manager. They have 1 tech.
I see. But yeah, I love Rivians. Like I still want one. And I had an order for the R1S, but then I canceled it. But I feel like it might be a good time to just get back into a lease, maybe once the Cybertruck is gone. But that's another topic. Zero Animal Product World also said, you should put out a guide to help people get the best deals for used Teslas through YouTube. Make it fun and adventurous.
Yeah. I mean, there definitely could be a buying guide. Obviously, I'm going to be a little biased trying to steer you to what I have to offer and what my offerings are. But we think we do a pretty good job in being upfront and transparent about it. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think about you've done a new car buyer's guide, haven't you?
Yeah, but mine is mostly on like trying to get credit union financing rates, and there are like a couple of different things like inventory discounts. But that is a good point because there's all these like new car checklists. Like you've probably seen those, like what to go to the Tesla delivery, like make sure you get all your different mobile connectors and stuff. But on the used side, like you talk about getting like PPIs, like you probably have like a guide or something, but it's just like you told me last time you had like a inspection list.
We have an inspection sheet that we use, and we have some guidelines, for acquiring cars and stuff like that. I guess, I mean, that would be sharing my secret sauce, on how to how we go through acquiring cars is basically how I would recommend other people search for cars. What tools we use, and then the methodologies for which cars we select, mileage, location, year, and all of that, and trying to stick to a certain, grain of car. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could give that away privately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we do have we do put some thought into it, at least at our store.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, so ASD winner says, I'm trying to sell my 2021 Model Y at a very low price, 26,000, and I'm getting no serious offers.
I'm a buyer.
Yeah. But also, like, what is that? Like, serious offers, I guess we need, well, I guess 26 price. Like, is that the
What's
market
the
for?
mileage? Yeah, what is
Yeah.
the mileage? If that's a car with 20,000 miles, that's a great deal. If that's a car with 50,000 miles, that's about $1,000 off. That's a car with 80,000 miles, you're out to lunch, because we're selling those for 20, after the
Wow.
tax credit. So how many miles does it have on it will tell you. And they say it in real estate, there's only three reasons people don't buy it. It's either price too high, it smells, or it looks terrible, so you just got to figure out which one it is. If the car looks good and smells good, your price is too high.
Yeah. And also, the longer this person waits, with the new Model Y coming out, it's just going to keep depreciating and depreciating and depreciating. So, time is of the essence for sure.
Yep. Give me a call. Send me an email. Happy to give you an offer based on the mileage, but we're buying.
Love it.
Mhm.
Shot Six says, Chip, at 8 minutes and 40, you mentioned about the government pulling the electric vehicle tax credit and quote, and we thought we were going to lose it last week. I've been following this and haven't heard anything like that in the past few weeks. What information did you specifically hear or read about it? Great interviews, by the way. Have watched all the series so far. Please keep going as they are very helpful and educational.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate the comments. Thank you so much. The what we heard was the actual signing of the executive order to eliminate the federal mandate of total EV sales by 2036 or whatever it was. And we thought that they were going to try to tie in the rebates to that mandate, like getting rid of it. So there was talk, and there was some news channels reporting on it. I don't have the specific articles on who was doing it, but there was a lot of talk internally that, yes, we're going to eliminate the mandate, and then they're going to go after the credits. And even Elon was talking about it. He talked about in a couple interviews that Tesla would be okay if they eliminated the new car incentives. And it's all the same thing. The new and the used are all tied. They're going to kill one, they're going to kill both. I don't see them
Exactly.
keeping it all. And like I said, we were just worried that signing was going to come up. It was going to have a renewed interest by Congress and the Senate right now to kill it. But I think they got bigger things on their plate, and it's kind of been
Yep.
quiet in the news. So who knows? It's very touch and go. I've seen, just continuing to elaborate on this, there's our dealers right now that have been in this tax credit game just like myself for some time, and they are advertising ending soon on their pictures.
Oh.
I'll send you a picture afterwards if you want to kind of throw it up here in the top. But definitely there are other dealers out there like myself who are a little worried about losing it. And that guy who's advertising, he's got like 100 Teslas in stock. So I
Jeez.
can't imagine the exposures he's got.
Yeah, because he's probably bought all these Teslas with that in mind, and he really wants to get rid of those.
Yeah, but you don't
Yeah.
want to like myself, I continue to buy
Yeah.
because there's still demand. So
Yeah.
we're going to get left holding the bag. I don't want to get caught with 100 of them. That'd be real bad news.
Yeah. How often, because the IRS pays that to you, the dealership, directly, right? There's a
Yep.
portal, you guys fill it out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
How often do they pay? Like every day, every week?
Yeah, sometimes they'll group payments. Like if I do a
Okay.
bunch of them, over like a 3-day span, they'll group it. But typically it's like 72 hours
Oh,
so if I do it on a Friday, I'll probably have payment Tuesday or Wednesday, and they ACH it into my account. But then there will be times where it'll go like a week, but then they'll bulk them all together. If I had a bunch of them, it'll be like a huge amount that comes in. But it's still flowing.
yeah.
I imagine, I talked about this before, when this whole thing blows up or turns off, I think the website's just going to disappear. I'm going to go to log in one day with a customer in front of me, and it's just 404, no page found. And I imagine any pending credits that have not been paid yet, I'll probably lose and just have to eat it.
No, I
Um,
think they'll definitely give a runway. Like it's going to be ending by the end of this year, and there'll be a rush. Like that's what happened on the news side. Like years ago, they were saying, "Hey, this is going to be ending by December 31st. You must buy now." or whichever.
That
But
was before Doge, man. That thing when they come in with the axe. I think
yeah,
they're just gonna pull the plug on the website. There's a yeah. We'll go to the end of December if you can get to the website. You know.
yeah. Second part of this Shot Six's question is: I recently purchased a used 2019 Model 3 long range all wheel drive with 40K miles from Tesla for under 18K. Prices are definitely still on the decline. I searched and looked at numerous used Teslas on local dealerships and private sellers, but they were all priced higher than Tesla's own inventory, and they didn't come with a 1-year warranty acceleration boost. The dealerships didn't understand the difference between autopilot and full self driving, completely uninformed about the car. That's interesting because I've always kind of felt like Tesla, like when they sold their used Teslas, it was always more expensive than like the market.
It's not to say a deal like that didn't exist, but that is under market for sure. I'm assuming that car was 22,000 before the tax credit.
Yeah.
Um, And that would be, $2,000 under market for a 2019 with 40,000 miles. But Tesla marks their cars down. There's a bunch of guys who track it. They mark it down like $100 a day or something like that. So there's a possibility to catch one of these good deals, if it's an age unit or something like that at that price point. I don't think that necessarily reflects the whole market, that price point. And I know a lot of people will use that to kind of set the standard. Like, oh, I saw a guy got one for 18
Yeah.
before fees, before taxes,
Right. Right.
and it might have been 18,999. Not discouraging the comments or whatever. I think those prices are definitely achievable if you shop around enough. And I think his experience is the norm. I hear this a lot, and I hear it a lot from my own customers who come to me who have experienced maybe even cars that were priced cheaper than Tesla. And they're like, I don't care if it was a good deal. They don't know what they're selling. I don't know what I'm buying there. I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yep.
All right. So Nick says, I am stunned at how many lawsuits against Tesla's used Teslas within 100 km of my house have risen from 640 to 1080 in less than 6 weeks. Nobody wants them. Tesla hemorrhaging money and the brand name has decimated. Watched a video on Elon talking about going to Mars again yesterday. Clip was edited at least 30 times. He is clearly on drugs, no question. Strong sell. I'm stunned at all the recent lawsuits, from paint to fudging odometers to replacing the hardware.
I,
Yeah.
I'm still taking all that in. Why don't you comment on that one first? Is he talking about day supply?
I have no idea. Lawsuits, or maybe, I think he's talking about how many inventory has popped up, has risen from 640 cars to 1,000 in less than 6 weeks. Nobody wants them. I think the Tesla hate is pretty interesting. Like, people are still buying these vehicles, maybe at a lower rate.
And one of the other EV dealers that's on TikTok, I heard, just reported they're a record month in March. So, I mean, that's somebody who's heavily selling Teslas. So, I think the used market is still pretty strong. Like I said, it's been steady. For us, we haven't really seen a drop off, but we haven't seen like an explosion either. It's just been steady. Our customer base has shifted. We still see a lot of that. We still see people selling their Teslas, politically motivated still, and we still see a whole new customer base showing up to support them. So that is a theme that is happening in real time.
Yeah. All right, so we'll skip that one. Average Joe says, why is autopilot full self-driving checkbox only available on Model 3s and Model S's on Tesla's used inventory website? I guess that must be because the vehicles just don't have the feature.
Yeah, enhanced autopilot's not offered anymore, so I don't know if they roll it off. Is that what they'll
probably just hide it when the vehicles just don't have it, so there's no point in making a checkbox. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Average Joe also says, does anybody else think it's a bit dishonest for Tesla to list used Model Y vehicles costing more than the $25,000 when the $4,000 tax credit box is checked on their website? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that's just a programming error. I think that's a website programmer has no idea what the tax credit is or truly understands it, and it's just not declining perfectly. Yeah,
I think what it is actually
dishonest.
It labels it. It says like, hey, there's no vehicles that are available, but here are some vehicles that are just in inventory. I think it's just showing what vehicles could, because they do that on the new site for $7,500 tax credit.
Yep.
Daddy Taz says Ford has too much inventory. They need to move cars. Some lots still have 2023 cars. They're priced too high. No one is buying Ford.
It's got to be regional. It's got to be the Ford dealer that I buy all my parts from is sold out of Mach-E's. They asked me if I had any used Mach-E's that I would want to sell them.
Wow.
Uh,
Interesting.
I
What about Ford F-150 Lightning?
I don't know about that. Did not ask about that. We were only talking about the Mach-E's being a hot product. And I think if you and I've been seeing it on TikTok and Instagram too, a lot of the deal seekers have shown that some of those were 20,000 off. They had those like 199 lease deals. So I'm
Yep.
sure that dried up a lot of the excess inventory that was out there. You know, if the customers didn't jump on them, I'm sure employees would have. And then they were doing employee pricing for everybody. So there's a couple things I think that drove it. I don't know if I agree with that. At least locally, at my Ford dealer, they're begging for the Mach-E. I can't say that for the F-150, but I think
Yeah.
Ford did okay.
Well, that's probably going to like Polestar just reported they had like a 74% sales year over year increase. And that's, I think what it is, it's a lot of the Tesla owners that are unhappy that are switching and they're just going to the other electric vehicle brands out there, Ford included. Just makes
Yep.
sense.
Yep. I
Yeah.
think it did, and Polestar was offering like a $5,000 incentive if you had a Tesla. You didn't even have to trade it in.
Yeah.
You just had to
Yeah.
have one.
One Heat Walk says there is a lawsuit against Tesla and faking the mileage of cars to avoid repairs under warranty. Good
Yeah.
timing.
Yeah, we talked about that in our last podcast. So check that podcast out. I think they are definitely doing that. I don't have any proof besides sitting in the car with another device and seeing the speed that it says we're going, and then the speed indicated in the car is much higher. And we talked about in the last episode, federal law allows 5 miles an hour variation plus or minus 50 miles an hour. So that's a 10% swing each way that the manufacturer can get away with on the speedometer, which means the odometer accumulation can be off by as much as 10%. So it has huge implications on warranty claims, leasing, all sorts of things that are tied to mileage. And every manufacturer is aware of it. And there are certain manufacturers that are very aware of it and even tweak it to the point to be into their advantage significantly.
All right, Chip, but really, if you're buying a used Tesla, why wouldn't you want to check the health of it first? I mean, you can literally do that for free right now, zero excuse. And that's where Amber comes in, the official partner of this podcast. Amber is legit. They help EV owners dodge those surprise repair bills by offering extended protection made specifically for electric vehicles. We're talking your battery, your drive unit, and all those other different components that you don't even think about until something goes wrong. But the cool part, they're offering free remote inspection of your Tesla right now, like full system diagnostics, powered by the same tools Tesla service centers use, but without the dealership. And yeah, I said free. So if you're looking to buy a used Tesla, or if you already have one and you want to just sleep better at night, this is a no-brainer. It's remote, it's fast, it's free, and it could literally save you thousands. So go hit the link in the description of this podcast, get your free checkup, and also learn about Amber's protection plans as well. For fun, I just ran all of my Tesla vehicles just to make sure I have some extra peace of mind. So let's keep EVs on the road longer, and now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I think that's going to actually blow up because it's just, and of course, Tesla being a part of the scandal is going to blow up for all the manufacturers, and everybody's going to realize, wait, everybody's doing this. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, so Gabriel has a 4-part question. Number 1 is, it's a buyer's market for anyone who has cash.
Okay.
I guess that makes sense because like interest rates are high, and so if you have cash, you can. I mean, you're not really getting the better deal at dealerships. Yeah.
The bank pays the dealership to originate the loan, at least the big stores. So cash does not have the power it once did. We can't hide the transaction from the government to like have any sort of real tax implications. Like you give me 20 grand, you don't pay sales tax or something. Like you can't operate like that today. And to thinking that it gets it off our books quicker, you know, with electronic payment nowadays, cash is kind of a hassle. You know, you
Yep.
can't really steal electronic payment. So I don't know if I agree with that. You know, maybe, you know, but generally no.
Yeah. Number 2 is interest rates still suck. Anything over 3% on auto is terrible.
No.
I mean, yeah, the average interest rate is like 5, 6, 7%. Like,
Yeah,
of course, we would love 0% or 3%, but it just doesn't exist. You can't compare it to something that doesn't exist right now.
Yeah, we were spoiled for a long time at that 1.9 for 72. I think a car loan needs to be 60 months, and I think anything between 4 and 7% is fair. I think a first-time buyer should pay somewhere around 10% or more. It's when you start getting into the crazy credit challenge situations that really start sending these things wild. But yeah, interest rates are still a little high now. If we look in the other comments, not to get ahead of ourselves, there were some people posting some really good rates that they achieved. Where's this guy? Graham Billion said Navy Fed last June 4.49 for 60. Now that's last June, but zero
No,
down.
Navy Fed still like it's one of my top recommendations. And what's interesting with Navy Federal is that they count 2024 vehicles, even though we're in 2025 now. If it's a used vehicle, they'll still give it new car rates, which is like 4% for 60 months, which is fantastic.
Okay, okay, yep, that's probably what he did there.
But of course, like Neighborhood Federal is like one of the hardest credit unions to get into. You actually have to have affiliation. Yeah. So the next one is Kevin says 1 gigabyte. You mean 1 terabyte? Tesla comes with 128 gigabytes. I think this was my mistake talking about the flash drive, that you don't need like a 2 terabyte storage device. You just need the 128 gigabyte one that comes with the Tesla. That's really all you need, in my opinion, because you can just keep clearing it.
Yeah.
NF Guy says helping to end fraud and waste in our government equals craziness. I guess maybe we made a comment like what Elon is doing is craziness.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's all crazy to me. Everything that's going on, the news.
He's doing something different, so it's different equals craziness. Could be craziness. NF Guy also says accusing someone of stealing because you don't like their offer.
Yeah, I went through and re-listened to the podcast to see what he was referring to, and I said twice that you have someone trying to steal a car, and I guess maybe I should have used the word swipe a car at a significant discount, and so yeah, I'll correct myself on that. So apologies there. No, I know no one's trying to commit a crime and physically steal a car from me, but I did say in there is a lot of opportunists out there right now that are trying to take advantage of the news and use that as an opportunity to get a lower price on a car, or so they think.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's all that was.
It's industry lingo at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all trying to steal a car on the new side, like trying to get $10,000 off.
Man, I haven't been able to steal a car. I mean, I'm just a regular buyer. I'm a retail buyer.
Yeah. Gustavo says, love your channel, but I have a friendly complaint. Actually, I see this in every Tesla-oriented podcast out there. When would you and other channels dedicate more time and substance to the Model S? We want to know more about what's going on with our model.
I mean, I talked about the Model S today. Model S is my favorite. That's one I've owned more of than anything. But duly noted, we'll definitely try to mention the Model S more.
And I feel like we did talk about the Model S, maybe not in that specific episode, but I did ask you, like, are you still buying like the older pre-refresh Model S's? And you said that you converted to the refresh ones because it's just less headache.
Yeah. Well, at least Raven drivetrain. So we're strictly 19 and up now. We're not getting into the big number cars, those 100s and 85s and stuff. But yeah, we're definitely transitioning as the market shifts.
Well, I actually have a question for you, because now Model S's, like the refresh ones, they're in like 40s. Like some of them like even high 39. If you're someone, I get this question a ton. Let's say I've got $45,000. Should I buy a brand new Model 3 long range all-wheel drive or a 2022 Model S long range?
My money, I'm buying the long range. Every day of the week, 10 out of 10 times.
But you're more seasoned, about Tesla, you could, withstand any issues. Now, what if that same question was asked to someone, this is their first Tesla?
Okay, so 7 years ago, I spent $38,000 on a 2014 Model S. I traded in a 2018 BMW. That was a lease. So I went to an older car outside of warranty for nearly 40 grand. I made the decision to go really kind of blind all those years ago. I don't think it's as risky as people think. I would do it again all day. So many less moving parts. So even if you do have to repair it, it's significantly less than other luxury cars. And again, I talk about this a lot in our podcast where you have to remember where they're punching. They're punching in that BMW, Mercedes territory. And
Yep.
when arguing service costs and repair costs and maintenance and ownership and insurance, when compared to those brands, the Tesla is a steal of a deal. But when comparing it to a Honda or a Toyota, it's not as great. So you've got customers coming from different directions with
Mm,
different perspectives of what a good deal is or what affordable is. And I think we're trying to balance all of that here.
yeah, that makes sense. All right, so this next one, Heart of America says, listing a car and including the 4K credit in the list price is BS. So few people qualify for it.
Okay. I I'll talk about this. I'll take this head on. When I first opened and the tax credit first came out, I was a guy following this. I agreed. I thought it was kind of BS, like that dealerships were taking it off, and I wanted to be the honest guy and advertise it right and bring it up and use it as a sales tool. Well, business was a little slow, so I decided to switch to the other side to see what would happen. And business exploded. It was tenfold. And it wasn't people upset. I got a couple people upset. Maybe out of 100 folks, I'd maybe have one or two people that were like, oh, you should really advertise. You shouldn't do it. More people came in and said, I didn't know this program existed.
Mm,
I'm glad I knew I could obtain this car for this price. Yes, I qualify for this program. And it was very few people. I live in Williamson County where I'm at in Tennessee is very wealthy. Like people know if they qualify or not for a lot of these programs, especially if they are earning there. I think the majority of the people do qualify for it. I would say 90% of my sales, people qualified. It was not the other way around, even though the demographic of my county is over that earning limit. So
yeah, so I guess it's more of like an education piece out there because I've seen your inventory photos and you're very clear and upfront, like
Yep.
includes the tax credit, everything. And it's probably like what you're saying, people don't realize that it exists. And then it's them trying to figure out,
I
do they
wouldn't
qualify
uh,
and can they? Yeah.
invite the conversation. Let's have a discussion about it. If you don't qualify for it, I'm sorry, it's going to be more. But then my price is still good. Once you go back out there armed with that knowledge, and yes, you will have to take a little bit more time to sort through it, but that's just the nature of the market. You want to talk about other fees. I mean, let's just talk about dock fees, right? People hiding these $1,000 dock fees and these $2,400 paint protection and all that other stuff that the dealers top on. I think it's all BS. I'm with you. But I think the tax credit, since it is customer facing, you get it instantly, and the price we advertise is the price you pay. So, I mean, there's nothing, deceitful about it. I think it's just more of a personal view about it. But more people have been thankful that we've advertised the price with it taking off and brought their attention to it than have been upset that they had to sort through a couple extra cars to find what they were looking for.
Yeah. And also, like, they might look at the limits of the tax credit and might think they make too much, but there's also like different loopholes to like reduce your adjusted gross income as well, or work with maybe a family member to figure it out or something. And so there's always a will if there's a will if there's a way.
Get creative with it. Absolutely.
Karthik says, why do I keep hearing 2026 Model Y? Isn't it a 2025? I guess I'll take this one. It actually is a 2026. You can decode it from the VIN. They switched it for some reason. They skipped a year, and it makes sense because they want to differentiate the new Juniper refresh versus the legacy 2025 Tesla Model Y. I don't understand why there's just so much confusion about this, but it is very interesting that people are commenting about it. Because I feel like a lot of other manufacturers do this all the time. Like I want to say there's got to be a 2026 model year of something else out there in the world.
I don't know. I thought I thought that comment was talking about like how like mid-year there would be two different models and have the same, like the Model S, the 2021 Model S can either be the refresh or it could be the legacy car. It could be either or. And is that not true with the 2025?
Yeah.
So
Well, the 2025 is the legacy one, the old one, and then the new Juniper, they like basically
every
pushed it
Juniper's
for
at 2026?
it's a 2026. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
They skipped ahead. Yeah.
I get that. That's fine. Yeah, that's easier. I think because of the confusion with the Model S, probably.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
isn't the
They
Model
learned.
X, the Model X too, 2021 can be legacy or horizontal?
No, I think it's 2022 was refresh onwards. There is no 2021
One.
refresh. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
Yep. Yep. All right. So next one is from Tashi. Once unsupervised full self driving in June hits bullseye, all used Teslas will AI 4 hardware 4 value will go up.
It's hardware 4 available for the older cars.
Yeah, it's like 2023 Model Y and up, and same for Model 3, something like that. I don't know like the exact years.
Is
But there
that
was
yeah, okay. I guess it's whether it's indicating on the screen as hardware 4. I got some 2023 Model Ys. All of them are still, they say hardware 3 on the screen.
oh, so then maybe it is the older one then. I don't remember exactly what the year changeover is,
So the
but
unsupervised will be what? You don't have to put your hands on the wheel. You don't have to look ahead. You can just kind of sit back and let it
it's
do its thing.
we don't know when that actually is going to be rolling out to like consumers. Maybe they'll talk about it on the company update call for April. But the robo taxi that's supposed to come out in June in Austin, that's why Tashi's saying June, will have unsupervised full self driving. The question after that is when will that roll out to the consumer cars out there? And I think we're still a long time before that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
TJT says, I paid $12K for a 2022 rear-wheel drive Model 3, 90K miles. That was 6 months ago. What? 12K, really? 2022?
So he probably paid 16, and then you're talking maybe, you post the VIN, see we checks the status of the title.
Yeah.
Is it a Hertz car? How many accidents? Is it clean title? I mean, we saw them. The deals are out there. I mean, there's some rough cars out there. I believe it, no doubt. I just, provide a little bit more clarity. We don't want to set unrealistic expectations for some of the other shoppers that are out there thinking that they can buy a 2022 for $10,000, or $12,000. There's a caveat there.
Yep. There's a floor price, as we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. CEQ says, I think Tesla cars, especially the Cybertruck, are overpriced. It's like selling a computer at an unreasonable high price. I agree.
I got it. Every 12 months, I get a new iPhone. I mean, I'm hooked, and they know it. And I mean, it's the same thing. As long as you accept it for what it is, and the way we treat these cars as disposable, not just Tesla, like all the the modern cars. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, they're trying to get us in this cycle of like there was some data that people are keeping their cars like on average 4 years now. It used to be like 5 or 6. Now it's gone down to 4 years, and I bet that's just going to continue to get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Is that what the data says?
Yeah, it's like 45 months. Yeah.
Okay. I believe it. I believe it. I know, but people are driving more miles.
Yeah, like super commuting and stuff. I can see that.
I think the average mileage is higher.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. Maybe we have a podcast about that.
Yeah. And this last one from Comfortably Numbly, prices is definitely dropping on used Teslas, especially on the Model Y. With the new Juniper available, they'll go further down in value. As Tesla gets closer to the end of the second quarter incentives will be flowing. They'll do anything to pump up their numbers. Anyone who believes prices will climb due to tariffs is delusional. Don't believe car dealers either. Chip is spot on.
I like this guy.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
tariffs, like I don't know if it's gonna raise prices on Tesla. I mean, we haven't seen anything immediately. There are some manufacturers that have raised prices, but Tesla still kind of staying even keel and their price is set.
Yeah, I wonder if Jaguar rolled back on them not bringing cars. They kind of did that snap decision. We're not bringing any more cars this month, and then they rolled back the tariff real quick. And I think only the tariffs are on China right now.
Yep.
And I've been trying to follow that on TikTok with a lot of small business owners. It seems that they are having to pay it, and they're refusing shipments and things like that. But I don't know about anything else. Everything else seems to be flowing.
Yeah, it seems like that's really where it's hurting the people, the small business owners, that all their parts, material, everything, they have to pay like this crazy line item for tariffs.
Yep.
But no exceptions for them, at least not yet, or anything like that.
Yeah, I haven't when I buy we buy some transmission parts out of Poland and Ukraine. Believe it, Ukraine, even in the middle of the war, we were getting like transmission parts shipped out of there, and we have to pay a tariff. Now, I haven't shipped anything recently, but it was very small coming out of those countries, like $20 on like a $400 order. So it was almost negligible. But I'm
Right.
curious to see what it will be this next time around when we get some more parts.
Yeah, that's crazy. Perfect. Well, thank you all for all the comments on this video. I felt it was fun to do a reaction to all the different comments, and we'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.
Yeah, thanks guys for tuning in.